And before I forget, I want you to know that you are the most powerful component of this campaign, because it's you who will be making voter contact and actually having those conversations. That is the single most effective tool in persuading voters, in getting voters excited, in empowering voters to go out and to vote. And to vote for issues that they care about. To vote for a candidate who's going to deliver. And John Faust is that candidate. You know, I've known John for many years because before I was in the Senate, I also served on the Arlington County Board of Supervisors, and John was on the Fairfax Board. So we served together on regional bodies. And I can tell you consistently that John always had a very thoughtful framework for making decisions. He always thought about a fair allocation of resources, particularly when it comes to those who are most vulnerable or would not be able to make their voice heard. John ensured that they would have a seat at the table, that they would get the resources they needed so they and their families could live their dreams and move up the economic ladder, whatever that dream was. John is very, very committed to making higher education accessible and affordable. He is our candidate for that, and we have to really, really promote that. I mean, that is one of the most important things, not just in the 10th district, but around the country. If you talk to working men and women, if you talk to constituents, what they care about is having their children go to college. And being able to afford it. And John understands that opportunity. I think the previous speaker said it very eloquently. He worked very hard, but he realizes that he is where he is today because of education, and he wants everybody to have that opportunity. And lastly, I will say, you know, I'm chair of the Senate Women's Reproductive Health Caucus, and we have to have somebody in the Congress, and John is clearly this person we have to have, who understands the U.S. Constitution, who understands that women in fact have a right to privacy, that women can make their own healthcare decisions and should be empowered to make their own healthcare decisions. And we need somebody who's willing to fight for us, and he will do that. And I can tell you unequivocally, there are all kinds of laws being passed that are eroding our ability to access care, our ability to access reproductive health care. I mean, my goodness, the Republicans in the House of Delegates who take their playbook from the national Republicans, this past General Assembly in the budget, they were going to remove a Medicaid contract that would provide contraceptive care to low-income women. Now, really? Who would do that? Really? I mean, we were able to stop it because the state had already signed the contract and it was going through, the Planned Parenthood was our partner. But every woman has a right to contraceptive care. My goodness gracious. You know, you don't want people who are going to roll back the clock. And I am confident that John will stand like a strong wall and protect us. So I'm so enthusiastic about him for that reason. And I know I said lastly, but if you forgive me one more point, I will just say, and I won't be long, we need folks who can work across the aisle. And because John is so authentic and so honest and sincere in his beliefs and so able to articulate who he is and why he stands for what he does, he works across the aisle because you can't help but respect him. You can't help but say, you know, I may not agree with the man, but boy, he really is sincere, he's a straight shooter, he's honest, and I'm going to do what I can to compromise with him when I can. And that's the kind of person we need. We couldn't get Medicaid expansion passed in the General Assembly this past special session, and it was outrageous. We had a moderate Republican introduce a bill. It addressed every concern the Republicans had ever raised, every concern on a policy level, and the Republicans didn't vote for it. We have 400,000 people uninsured in our state because we're playing politics. Some folks are playing politics with the health care Virginians. It's very, very disheartening. So I want that dynamic to change in Congress, and I think John will be the one to change it because it'll have the ripple effect and it'll help the dynamic change in Richmond. So thank you. You guys are terrific. I'm so proud to represent Harvard Brown. You'll see me more and more. I don't ignore you, even though you're 6% of my district. You are closest to my heart. So thank you.